Hello, all. Welcome back to Kiana Sky Speak Studios. This is episode 2, and I wanted to do something just a little bit different this time. Instead of talking about the studio or introducing myself again, which I've actually done 2 to 3 times on my posts and everything, I wanted to talk about something that's probably one of my favorite parts of writing. My favorite parts of writing. And my favorite parts of writing is my characters because to be honest, sometimes I think the characters are the ones doing the writing for me. It's the ones that I'm watching. I know that sounds crazy, but if you're a writer, you probably understand what I mean. You can sit down with an idea, you can have an outline, and you can know exactly where you think the story is going. And then you create this person, and suddenly they're just doing their own stuff. They're doing their own things. They have their own opinions. And they start making decisions that you didn't plan. Well, you actually did plan it, but it seems like the character is taking over. You know? They fall in love with somebody that's absolutely should not be falling in love with. They keep secrets. They get themselves into trouble. And you're sitting there thinking, why did you do that? But you actually did that. And then you remember you're the one who created them. So technically, that's your problem. But that's what I love about writing characters. I don't want my characters to feel perfect at all. I don't really want them to feel like characters. I want them to feel like real people. People who have a history, people who have things they don't want to talk about. They have things that they want to talk about, they make mistakes just like a normal person. And I want my characters to represent normal people because that's who we all are and that's who people are because it's real life. And especially when I'm writing a romance, which I just started to get really interested in, I don't want the romance to only be the only interesting thing about that person. I want them to love and like adore many things. And I want to know who they were before they met the person that they're romantic with and in love with. I want to know what happened to them, what they're afraid of, what do they want, and what they're hiding. What would they never admit out loud? And most importantly, what are they willing to risk for love? I really invest in my characters that I write for. And that's where things get interesting for me because I love romance, but I also love putting my characters in situations where love isn't necessarily easy. Sometimes there's a secret or a danger or something that is forbidden. But in the end, I want love to always work out for the people that get into the relationships. And if it doesn't work out, then that's a different story that I'm telling. And it doesn't always have to work out, is my point. But I also want love to prevail in my stories. Sometimes the person they're falling for, sometimes it's like the worst possible person, but that they end up loving each other. And that's like my favorite kind of story. So I think that that's one of the things I keep coming back to in my writing is complicated people. Because I mean, honestly, I'm complicated and I love complicated people because they are very multifaceted and I love their personalities. So give me the character who looks like they have everything together, but they're barely holding themselves together underneath it's because I relate to that. Give me the woman who has been through something and refuses to let it completely define her. Like, tell me about a man who walks into the story and immediately knows there's something about him that you're not being told. Those characters are the ones that I want to follow because I don't want to know everything about them immediately. I want to discover my characters kind of like Stephen King would. He would say that the characters would write for him. He wouldn't need to put any effort. He would watch and observe the characters in his stories. Ultimately knowing it was himself, but he would observe and let the story unfold with his creative mind. So that's it sometimes I don't even want to know everything about them. Like I said, that's the funny thing. I'll have an idea for a character, and I'll be like, okay, I know who this person is. And then 20 pages later, I'm like, oh, apparently I did not know you at all. And that's when writing really gets fun because the character, they start revealing themselves. Maybe they react to something differently than I expected. Maybe they say something that completely changes how I see them. Maybe I thought they were going to be the villain, and then I realized there's a whole story behind why they became that way. Or maybe I thought somebody was going to be the good guy, and then they make one decision that makes them question everything. I really love that. I love mystery, suspense, and changing characters. I don't want everybody to be easily categorized good, bad, hero, villain. Nah. I think that people are much more complicated than that, and my characters are allowed to be complicated too. That's especially important to me when I'm writing my women. I don't want my female characters to only know and exist as someone's love interest. Yes, romance is a huge part of the story, but they still have a life outside of that relationship, and they have those dreams, those fears, and those friendships and wounds. And that's all right. That's okay. So, yeah, that is the fun of making my characters. And that's a little bit of behind the characters that I make, a little bit of chaos, and probably at least one person making a decision that makes me question why I gave them free will. But that's the fun of it. And I have a lot more characters I want you to meet. Some of them are already living on the page. Some of them are sitting in my notes, and some of them are probably somewhere in the back of my brain waiting for the perfect moment. But if you're interested in meeting them, stick around because I'm just getting started. This has been Kiana Sky Speak Studios, and I'll see you in the next podcast.